achieve with that, it's maybe a valid goal, but I think in the real world,
it's not practical.
It's not practical. Exactly. No. You get people caught up.
The wrong people are getting caught up is what's happening. But I related that to what you were talking about with like people with PWIDs not being allowed to own a drug court program when most likely they got caught up just because they had more than one bag on them.
Precisely.
You know what I'm saying?
I just don't think that you can.
And when you're dealing with heroin comes prepackaged in doses per bag. So like you're not buying. A lot of times you're not buying like a whole gram or a whole ounce at a time. You're buying multiple baggies at once. So when you get caught with that, because it's separately packaged, it's automatically a PWID because it's separately packaged.
Right. And again, because this is a sentencing alternative, that decision belongs to the sentencing judge.
Correct.
And so in my mind, we shouldn't, as a team, be precluding someone who it should be within the judge's discretion to determine whether or not they get the program. You know? It shouldn't be the decision of a team, an interdisciplinary team full of people.
Right.
So.
Right.
That's one thing in particular that's, those have been recent conversations over the last, say, year or so. And I think we finally put a pin in it. I think we're not going to have that conversation anymore. Maybe at least not for a little while.
At least you hope not, anyway.
Because you know what? I will just sit back and I will just wait for the judge to say no.
And that's got to be tough, too, working on a team because you got multiple different perspectives and personalities that would approach each situation differently. So trying to find that common ground between all of you. Because I've seen the treatment team. It's not small. It's
big.
It's pretty big.
It's pretty big, and it's gotten bigger. And, you know, as I said, we have an assistant district attorney on the team now. We have law enforcement on the team.
In what way? Law enforcement?
We do. We have a Bethlehem police officer, actually, who was brought on by our friend Jordan Scott.
Okay.
She had done a ride-along with the officer for, I think, a period of time, a couple of ride-alongs in a program that she was working on. And so she made that connection. And so now we have, and everybody, I think the first time she came to court, she was in her uniform. Everybody was like, all the participants there that day were like, oh shit,
somebody's got new charges.
God, what's she doing here? And now she comes in plain clothes. She's very cool. She just, she actually, her schedule, she started in January, her schedule hasn't allowed her to be there a whole lot. But she offers a good perspective, and I think it's a very pro-participant perspective, really.
That's pretty cool to see outside entities getting involved. And like recently, I don't know how long, it's probably been about a year now that the Quakers come and they bring coffee and cookies for the participants.
They do.
And they're all about it because the program itself is designed to help people in the community, and that's like what they're about, is like progression in the community. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're a very, very nice group of people, and they just kind of, they have a table in the hallway. That took a couple months to, like, you know, then you got to get like the custodians on board, like, hey, don't move that table every week, like, leave my table there,
leave the table alone.
Oh man,
I'm sure the sheriffs had an issue too, like with, you know, food and stuff in the hallways, and like, because like I remember one time I got there a little early and I went to go make a fine payment, and I left my book bag sitting on the bench, and the sheriff like freaked out. He was like, no, you got to take that with you now.
Yeah,
like, don't just leave that sit there.
Yeah,
you're gonna walk away and people are gonna be like, that fat guy just tried to blow up the courthouse.
Right.
Yeah. No, the deputies definitely, there are a lot of protocols, you know, that they have for the courthouse, and we have Judge Daly's deputy, Mark, who's terrific, and he's regularly assigned to us. He gets it, you know, but sometimes we'll get somebody who's just like pulled into the situation, and it's like, oh no, you have to dial it down a little bit.
And you know, it's funny because like the recovery court procession, or not procession, but the just how it works in general is not as formal as going in front of like a sentencing judge or a trial judge, but you can still see like the formality in the sheriffs in the room.
Yes, and
the hats off, the no cell phones, no sunglasses.
Yeah,
you know,
they're standing around you. That I've really that's kind of my next thing. I've been working on that one for a while. I'm not sure it's going to change because we're dealing with, again, protocols, but when the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts, the AOPC, they oversee problem-solving courts across the state, and they came to observe. We have a liaison from the AOPC who came to see us last year, and she was like, your deputies need to sit down. And I was like,
they're probably not going to.
They're probably not going. Like, I've talked to them about that, and I don't think that's going to happen.
It's all about the safety too. I mean, like sometimes, and I'm sure they've seen it before, where people get rowdy in the courtroom and want to go after the lawyers or the prosecution, or even try to jump the bench. I'm sure it happens.
In all my years as an attorney and law clerk, being in courtrooms, know who I've seen get rowdy? Attorneys.
Oh, attorneys?
Attorneys.
I saw somebody like check somebody walking out of a courtroom. I've seen them like slam the Yep, attorneys. That's who I've seen get out of hand. Attorney, which I am an attorney. So,
Screw you! You don't want to take my deal.
I mean, I haven't seen that often. But that is what I've seen. So that's kind of amusing.
Do you know what kind of legwork I had to do to get this deal?
But we do have a fairly formal process. We do. I mean, Shannon, our court reporter, is there. And she's always. So we're still using the court reporter. We have kind of everybody coming up to the podium. So those kind of aspects that would be present in another court proceeding are present in our court proceedings, even though they are more relaxed. They are intended to be more of a conversation. But there are certain formalities that we've continued to adhere to that not everybody adheres to in every program across the state. So it's finding our balance. I mean, sometimes recovery court judges don't wear a robe, or they're not on the bench, they're sitting around a table. It's not really our vibe. We talked about it, but that's just not us. So,
well, I think the robe, like the judge wearing the robe, that's it's kind of significant. You know, that taking that off and making him regular might send the wrong message.
Right.
Sitting
around a table.
He still needs to have that. I'm the judge. I'm the. You got to have the respect, and I could see that. I don't think I would respect so much like the authoritarian figure if it wasn't in that authoritarian.
Without putting some type of a jersey on him.
Right.
Your players need to have a number.
Like I'm gonna have a different type of conversation with a cop that's in uniform than one that's not in uniform.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
True though.
Yes.
That's 100% true.
Right. And so we have maintained those formalities and but it's interesting to get that feedback from the state, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you do this." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's how we roll." But I think that you need to maintain a certain level of yes, this is a check-in court. This
Absolutely.
isn't like
you need some formality there. They can't just be all lackadaisical, like this doesn't matter, because it does.
Right.
I don't know. I like the whole system in general, and I think it's great for the community. The fact that there's enough people in one spot that have their heart into something to push it to fruition like that is just beautiful, and I want to thank you personally for being there for me and for everybody else that you're there for.
Well, absolutely.
It's a real pleasure. It's a tremendous opportunity in terms of my career. I've done some interesting things. I've done some fun things. I think this will be, part of my legacy. And I was given the opportunity by Judge Daly. I really appreciate that opportunity. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for what I've been able to experience, what I've been able to be a part of, what I've been able to affect in terms of change. And it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
We wanted to thank you personally for coming out and sitting and have a chat with us and explaining the intricacies of your court system.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's really, Storm, it's been very nice to meet you, and it's been really, really nice to sit down with Tony and Nick, who I've known through this process for a couple of years, and I've seen grow, and I've seen change, and just to see the people that they are and see where they are in their lives is just cool.
It makes your
I love you too.
It brings in that rewarding aspect of your job.
It does, but it's just I'm just so happy for you.
Right.
You know, I'm
Thank
just so happy for
and
you.
I appreciate
and,
that. I really do.
You know, you are both such valuable members of our community. Like the work that you do, the experience that you have to draw from is invaluable. So thank you.
Then again,
Awesome.
if it wasn't for your system and, you know, the things that you do, they wouldn't be where they're at.
Right.
So.
Probably not. I've said that before. I don't think if it wasn't for drug court, I don't think I'd be doing the things I'm doing now because I wouldn't have met the people I've met.
Right.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I wouldn't have gotten involved in the different programs that I've gotten involved in.
Yeah.
It's the opportunities that arise.
Exactly.
Like when I completed the program, like so many opportunities were just thrown at me, and I was just baffled by the idea that this many people wanted me for something.
Yeah.
Like people wanted me for something other than a warrant.
Right.
Because there's so much value to what you can offer. And how cool is that?
It is. It's
How
really
cool
awesome.
is that?
Let's touch
Absolutely.
on real quick. Nick has just got your certification. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
that. How you feel.
when you were checking the audio levels earlier, I was kind of talking about that. So I am officially a certified recovery specialist.
Congrats, sir.
Which we've talked about before. You know, CRS and CPS, which CPS is what Tony does. We're kind of underpaid case managers, so to speak. But it's in a recovery aspect. It's like recovery management. It's helping them find their path in recovery because there are multiple pathways, and helping them set and achieve small goals to improve their lifestyle. And that's exactly what we're meant to do.
And to be that real life sounding board and real life, I think one of the most important aspects of our mental health program are the CPSs, and one of the most important aspects of our recovery court program are our CRSs, because those are people with real world experience and credibility.
And you have to have that experience in order to get these certifications. No Joe Schmo off the street can't come in and be a certified recovery specialist unless they've been through the process.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's real life experience. It's a relatable and familiar face to deal with outside of probation, courts, or whatever stipulation has sent you to see and work with a CRS or CPS.
Yeah.
Because they get referred to from all kinds of agencies. You know, Children and Youth is pretty heavy on that now. You know, a lot of the county agencies are referring to CRS and CPS work.
Yeah.
I'm not done yet. I can't stop.
No, I'm not either.
Talking to colleges now. I'm ready to go.
That's awesome.
I've thought about it too, and like I said, I had my apprehensions about going back to school, but I've literally just proved to myself that that's not an obstacle anymore.
No.
So at some time in the near future, I will probably go back to school as well, but I just haven't quite nailed down what path I want to go, because I've thought about social work, I've thought about psychology work. I just don't know. As of right now, I've been leaning more towards social work because of the type of job that I'm in now. That's kind of what I do. Community resources and stuff like that, and I enjoy that frontline action, I guess you could say. I don't want to be tied to a desk in a treatment facility somewhere.
Right.
You know, but there's definitely more room for improvement to come.
Well, congratulations on this.
Yeah,
too.
definitely congratulations on Nick, you know, and
Bouncing
appreciate you coming and everything else that we're trying to do.
Yes.
Thank you for the bouncing back plug too.
Yeah.
I'm one of your devout listeners, so I probably won't listen to my episodes because I won't know if I can handle that.
Oh my God,
but,
I really said that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
But
okay.
we'll just skip on to the next person. But thank you so much for having me.
Thank
I
you
really
for coming
appreciate
out.
it.
Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that's going to be it for today.
And remember, everybody
has the ability to bounce back. And I bid you adieu.
I bid you adieu.
Oh man, here we go with this adieu shit again.